Welcome to the first official video of Picture You. We figured we would jump off of the momentum of last week when Nicole became the first four-peat World Series champion with Oklahoma and talk about mainly her, but our experiences at the World Series to kind of give you an idea of what it's like to actually pitch at that level. So we'll just jump in. What's it like pitching in the World Series, Nicole?
I think every year it's been a little different, but it's definitely an experience. Coming in as a freshman, we've had seniors that tell us when you get there, when you're walking in for the first time, you're allowed to look up and like take it all in for 10 seconds and then you don't look back up. So it's, the same game we've been playing since, you were a kid, but it's also just a little bit, it means a little bit more. But just trying to keep it, the same game that it has been. But it's definitely, I'd say, electrifying with all the fans that are there. It can get real loud, but it's definitely a fun environment.
How would you say that each year at the World Series was different than the past years? Like in terms of your experiences, your growth as a pitcher, building off of prior experiences. How would you say that things changed for you, your approach changed, that sort of thing?
I think I definitely grew a lot from freshman to senior year because I know freshman year it was a little like nerve wracking at first, just knowing like we could win a national championship right now. Like I was definitely a little nervous as even if I said that I wasn't. And so fast forward to senior year, I feel like I was able to let a lot of that go, and I just pitched a lot more freely, knowing that that was going to be the last time that I was going to be pitching. So it was freed me up a lot. That was for me personally, and then as a team. I think each year just feels different, regardless. You have a different team every year, but every year stacking, championships, there's an added pressure of like right when we win, people will be saying, "Oh, ready for the next one." Like after we won the first one, people were like, "Okay, let's get ready for back to back." I'm like, "Can you let me sleep in for a little bit?" Same thing after the second one, and then same thing now. Like after we just four-peated, people are like flooding comments with, "Oh, let's get this 5P." I'm like, "Can you let us enjoy this?" So there's definitely a lot of pressure. I mean, we try not to look at it, but it's always going to, be there. So I think every year there was an added pressure, to do it again. But I think that as a team, we also expected that of ourselves, which is kind of high expectations. But
You have to have that expectation if you're going to play at that level. You can't go in hoping to win. You
no,
have to have that expectation of winning in order to achieve that.
yeah. When I stepped on campus in the fall, freshman year, or even before I got to college, it was like, oh, I hope I get to win a national championship. And then never thought I'd be saying leaving college with four. Like it's just pretty, I don't know, crazy. But even, yeah, like you said, like stepping on campus in the fall, it was very much like, oh, yeah, we're going to win. And then it got the same feeling the next year. And then it just kept happening. But yeah.
How did your preparation change like throughout the whole year from, you know, trying to win the first one to then attempting to win the fourth one? Did your personal prep change each year? Did the team preparation change each year, or was it pretty consistent throughout the 4 years?
I'd say it was pretty consistent, but each year we thought it got, the falls got a little harder and, coach is probably pushing us a little bit more. Not going to let us be satisfied with just one. So I think, practices got harder, but like looking at the season in itself, like in the fall, our preparation is a lot more physical, a lot more technical, building up strength. And then once season hits, it's a lot that kind of gets put on the back burner, at least for me. Like that's how I liked it. Other pitchers were different, but I like to just kind of put the technical things aside and then just focus on like mentality and routine and all of that. And then if something technical did pop up, I would allow myself like 5, 10 minutes to fix it. And then if it got fixed, that's great. If it didn't, then I'm like, then it's just mental. So that was kind of the mindset in like with postseason and in season. But
So, speaking of the mental approach and mental game, did you notice if you made a big shift in your mental game or your mental approach from regular season to the World Series, or did you find you were able to keep it pretty consistent?
I think this year I was able to keep that consistent. I think part of that just also came from knowing that it was my last year. It started hitting me like probably like 2 months ago, where it was like, oh shoot, like this is the last year. So I feel like it kind of just helped, like I said before, free me up a lot. And, the transition from season, or I guess postseason into World Series specifically, it should be pretty seamless. You don't need to do too much. That's something that I learned throughout the years. Like you don't need to do anything different. It's the same game, playing with the same people. facing a lot of the same teams. I just try not to make it bigger than it is, even though it is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you could say it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
What would you say was the biggest challenge pitching at the World Series that you personally faced?
I think for this year, if we want to get like specific, in the first game against Florida, like I felt great, body felt great, mindset felt great. And sometimes you just like can't control the outcomes. And I think one of the most frustrating things that I experienced a couple times this year was my mentality was spot on, mindset was great, and then I still got beat. So I was like, what is happening right now? So I think getting over that and just knowing like, I can't control if they keep hitting little bloopers or if they, like they hit a good pitch, like I can't do anything about that. And I think being able to just like get over that.
It's really hard when your good stuff's getting hit.
Oh yeah.
It's so hard to make those adjustments, but at the end of the day, it's always just odds.
Yeah.
And if they're sitting on a certain pitch or they guess right,
Yeah.
I mean, there's just not a lot you can do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What did you find that you had to do in order to let go of that?
So I'm always cheering and screaming and yelling in the dugout and for my teammates. So I feel like focusing on that. So, picking up the next pitcher that comes in. And I mean, it's not about me. So it's pretty easy for me to let go of that because I don't know, the more you hold on to it, the more it's just going to keep affecting you. So short memory and also knowing, they're good teams. Like World Series, like you're going to get the top 8 teams in the country. So good hitters, like, it's just dropping it as soon as I can and just so I can focus on, whenever the next opportunity is going to be.
Yeah, and also sounds like you were focused on the bigger picture instead of just your part of that picture.
Oh yeah.
Which
like we're trying to win a national championship. If you got to take me out to do that, that's fine. I'll be better the next time. Just if you got to do that, that's fine, So
yeah, but that's a really hard perspective to take.
Mm-hmm.
It's really difficult to be able to just look outside of yourself and be like, okay, it's not about me. Like I can let this go. I wasn't helping my team. Let somebody else come in and get the job done for me. Yeah. That's really difficult.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult. So good job.
It really kind of comes naturally, but me, I've always been the rowdy little like.
Yes, except for the first year I knew you when you wouldn't talk to me.
That's true. But after that was the never shut up.
Yeah. All right, now the one I'm really looking forward to. What were either your favorite or funniest moments at the World Series for any of your years?
Favorite moment, I would have to say, or like one of the favorite top whatever moments, it's probably this year, like after winning. So it's not the actual like winning itself, but I just remember, after the dog pile, getting, everyone like getting off of each other. I'm just like sitting there like, oh my gosh. In that moment, I'm not looking at the trophy. Like I'm looking at the seniors that I just did this with for the past 5 years or 4 years. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like we just did that. Like it didn't even feel real. It still doesn't feel real, really. But favorite part, I guess, for every year is just like celebrating with the team and just knowing like nobody knows what we go through and like what we do every day except for us. So just being able to know that like we rode the highs and lows together and then ending up on top every year is kind of crazy. So I think that would have to be, I guess, like the favorite moment every year is just like celebrating with your team. I don't really know if I have like the top funny moment. I mean, I feel like we're always laughing. There's a lot of inside jokes that happen, a lot of screaming and banging in the dugout.
Yeah, we saw you dancing on camera quite a bit.
Yeah, lots of that. I think something that is funny, like seeing like reactions of people on how we play. Like we're a very competitive and passionate team and
very animated.
Yeah. And it's like we're celebrating each other. We know what we're celebrating, like walks. That's the same thing as hit in my eyes. That's Absolutely. The same thing as you just hit a ball through the gap. Like that's the same thing in my eyes. So I'm a scream. People are gonna throw bats and celebrate and yell, but we're not yelling at anybody else. We're yelling at each other. And I think people get that confused sometimes. Like there's nothing I hate more than people telling women how to act. So
I'm with you.
We're gonna get controversial. Oh geez.
It's a different experience pitching at that level for sure. Like I remember I was telling you about this. I started against Oklahoma my freshman year, and I'm walking back from the bullpen with my pitching coach, and we're visitors, so we're walking on the visitor side. And I look up at the stands. I'm like, John, why are all the Oklahoma fans sitting on our side? And he just looks at me and goes, "We're in Oklahoma." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." like naive little freshman, doesn't even
Yeah.
think about things like that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I bet they weren't complaining about the World Series being in Oklahoma City then, or were
No,
they? Yeah,
no,
like, I
not
think
that I
so.
remember.
Go ahead and
So
share your
I don't know.
funniest, yeah,
Well,
World
yeah, I
Series
guess it's
moment.
funny. It's not really embarrassing because I've fallen so many times. But we
Yeah.
were watching one of the night games, and I was walking back from the bathroom with a couple of my teammates, and these kids saw us, and they knew we were Cal or whatever. And so I'm walking in front of the left field bleachers, and they had a bunch of cords there because there was some media tent set up that used to be set up in left field. And so I'm walking along the grass, and my sandal clips one of the cords, and then I just fall to my knees and I slide for like 10 to 15 feet. All these little kids catch up to me like, oh my God, it's Kristina Thorson from Cal. Can I have your autograph? Nice fall. I was like, yeah, okay.
Sure.
I'll sign your t-shirt as I have grass stains on my knees. Like, yeah, one of my good stories for sure. You know, now my students all try to embarrass me with stuff like, you're not going to embarrass me.
I'd like trip over something or,
I mean,
well,
pretty much,
you fell.
especially when you first started, when you were just like a baby deer and had no idea where your body was.
Yeah. Look at where we're at now.
I'm no kidding.
Yeah.
Who knew 10 years ago this is where we would be? Anything else you want to add about pitching in the World Series? Things that mean a lot to you or you think would help anybody watching?
Just to always celebrate your teammates. You know, we kind of talked about before, but it's never about you. And if you're trying to win some, whether it's like winning a tournament or winning a national championship, you guys have to all be all in for each other. It's not about other people. It's not about you. You know, just know your role, execute your role. And if you don't, then like cheer on the next person. So I think that that's just like a huge thing in general.
Well, and I also think the part that you talked about where it's just the same game and
Yeah.
you go into it with the exact same approach and, you know, don't make it bigger than it is.
Yeah.
It's just the same game you've been playing your whole life.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I think that was a lot of good information. Yeah, so thanks for watching. We'll be releasing videos weekly on all sorts of things related to pitching. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them.
Thanks.